Chancellor Carmen Farina, our school's chancellor, is here. Richard, you're right, dead in the middle of the crowd. Richard Bury, our deputy mayor, is leading our pre-K and after-school efforts. Nisha Argawal, who you'll hear from in a moment, our wonderful commissioner of the mayor's office of Immigrant Affairs. I want to thank Nisha and her team for putting together this event with all of our really wonderful sponsors. I want to thank everyone. And also we have an extraordinary group of leaders from around the city who represent us in elective office. I also want to say is I don't know all of the members of the administration are here, but as I see them, I'll call them out. So there in the corner, Ron Raju, the new head of the Health and Hospitals Corporation. Thank you, Ron. That's right. You got your employees here. They're very enthusiastic. So among the elected officials who are with us, Tish James, our public advocate. Ken Thompson, our Brooklyn District Attorney. Yay! Carolyn Maloney, a Congress member representing this House, I believe, among other things. I know Charlie Randall's here, he just had to leave, but thank him for being here. I want to thank State Senators Gustavo Rivera and Bill Perkins. Assembly members Victor Pichardo, Deborah Glick, Nick Perry, and Jose Rivera. Now I want to thank you, Jose Rivera, with his video camera. You're going to video me talking about you videoing me. Okay, it's all working.
Give me a million hits today.
Yes, good. I want to welcome everyone to Gracie Mansion. I always say this is the people's house. It is meant for everyone. It belongs to all of us. And today is a great day because all of New York City, in effect, is here. So many communities represented, and that always gives me hope for the future of this city. I want to thank so many people who made this event possible. Western Union, thank them for their support, the New York Council for the Humanities, and World Education Services. Let's give them a round of applause for their support for the event today. Now, what could represent the extraordinary diversity and strength of this city better than our cuisines that make this place so wonderful? So let's thank some of the companies who donated the food and drinks we're enjoying today. Canel Patisserie, Hot Bread Kitchen, Oro Washers Bakery, and the Puerto Rico Importing Company. Let's give them all a round of applause. Now, we don't throw words like hero around lightly, but someone standing up here who is a hero to me, because in a world that is still not just when it comes to the question of immigration, not just here in this country, but sadly all over the world, we have to fight for justice for people who move from one country to another, who are simply seeking opportunity. In many cases are seeking peace and a refuge from violence or oppression, and that's why so many of our forebears came here to this country, came here to this city. In a world where there's still so much unfairness on questions of immigration, some voices break through and really are moral compasses for us. And we know in this city today, almost 500,000 people undocumented in this country, upwards of 12 million people. They are all our fellow New Yorkers, our fellow Americans, and yet not treated the same. And one man stood up and used his own example to paint a picture for his fellow Americans about what this means in human terms, and it got a lot of attention that needed to be brought to the issue. So I want to thank Jose Antonio Vargas for being Now, if you don't know his story already, Jose Antonio put forward his own experience as an undocumented immigrant. He did it bravely because it obviously could have resulted in a very negative reality for his life. In the process, he brought to light the reality. There's a new documentary coming out on his story, which is called Documented, correct? Documented. He is a great talent beyond the bravery show, beyond the conscience he's been. He's a great talent, a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, an acclaimed filmmaker. And he will now be partnering, or his organization, Define American, the organization's name, Define American, will be partnering with the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs to host a screening of this film as part of Immigrant Heritage Week. It'll be making its theatrical debut May 2nd The Village East Cinema, we all have to be there. And let's thank Jose Antonio Vargas for all he has done. So in the ultimate city of immigrants, we are having a renaissance again. It is a high point again for the immigrant experience in New York City. We're being enriched every day by people from all corners of the globe. In the year 2011, 37.2% of New Yorkers were foreign born. That is an extraordinary figure because that's the highest total since 1910, a century ago. In 1910, more than 40% of New Yorkers started their life in another country. 6 out of 10 New Yorkers are either immigrants or the children of immigrants, so we are the ultimate immigrant city. And it's not a surprise that we're also the global capital, that we're also the center of innovation, entrepreneurship, culture, creativity. It all directly connects to the vibrancy brought to us through the immigrant experience. And one reason New York City is so welcoming is that it's in our DNA, it's who we are, it's who we've always been. There's a book I talk about because I admire it. It really captures the origins of today's New York. And it points out some of the reality that started in New York even as far back as the 1600s and is alive today. The book is called The Island at the Center of the World. It's by Russell Shorto. And he has this one passage that's very powerful about the first decades when this place was called New Amsterdam. He says, it was, quote, prowled by a babel of peoples, Norwegians, Germans, Italians, Jews, Africans, both slave and free, Walloons, Bohemians, Munsees, Montauks, Mohawks, and many others, all living on the rim of an empire, struggling to find a way of being together. That was New York City in the early 1600s. I think we can recognize in that passage some of the grandeur of New York City today, the diversity, the energy, possibility. And yes, every day we work on being together, on getting better, on working more effectively together. That's part of the energy of this place. And that's something we celebrate today. Yes, there's always struggles and challenges, but that energy, that constant effort to find a way toward each other is what makes New York City an example to the world. Now, I am proud to say, like every one of us in this room, I am a product of the immigration experience. I'm a product of that great immigration boom that occurred about 100 years ago. My maternal grandparents both hailed from southern Italy. I've been to both of my hometowns. There you go, Southern Italians. I've been to both my grandparents' hometowns. And at that time, they were not easy places to live. They weren't places of economic hope or possibility. They came here seeking something else. And like so many people in this room, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents found the kind of opportunity here that was unimaginable in our homeland. For my grandparents, they were able to open a business. First, I must say, my maternal grandmother opened a business around 1910 with her sister and her mother. So it was a female-owned business over 100 years ago in New York City. Even that was possible because this was such an open environment. And it's something I want to always emphasize in everything we talk about in this administration, keeping this a city for everyone, keeping it that open, creative, available opportunity for all is part of the formula of what makes New York City great. And it's a formula we have to preserve and protect. And so many of the things we're doing in this administration are to ensure that this is a city economically available to all, so we keep that vibrancy. Well, I also think we can say that we have to see through the eyes of our forebearers to understand today's reality for our brothers and sisters who happen to be undocumented. You know, at the time, a few years ago, when that very troubling law passed in Arizona, which was encouraging public safety officials to question people about their status. I thought to myself, you know, my forebearers happen to be Italian, but if you met my grandfather Giovanni, he had kind of olivey skin, he was a little short, he spoke with a very, very heavy accent. I always say he didn't quite get the hang of English because he was only in America about 70 years, so he didn't have enough time to practice. So if you were walking down the street when that law was passed in Arizona, if you were in Phoenix, he could have been immediately identified as someone who was different from the mainstream. And so for me, when I heard reports of what was happening to people in Arizona, I didn't think that's happening to someone different from me. I thought that could be my own grandfather. And that's how wrong it was. We all have to feel it's personal when immigrants are mistreated, because it's an affront to who we are as Americans. It's an affront to who we are as New Yorkers. So we are committed to supporting our immigrant families. It begins with education. Carmen Farina is doing an extraordinary job as our school's chancellor. Let's thank her for what she does. Let me guess. Carmen Farina is the child of immigrants. First generation American. And she, with pride, at our events, speaks in both English and Spanish, and sends a message that it's a multilingual city, and we're proud it's a multilingual city. And we're going to do more to make it a multilingual city because we want to reach all our people. We are working every day to improve our schools. Every school, every neighborhood begins with what we've achieved with the expansion of pre-K and after school, which we're going to start to feel this September. We will have more than 50,000 pre-K seats by this September, more than 70,000 by the following year. To make sure that happens, Richard Beery and Carmen Farina are not allowed to eat or sleep for the next year. You're taxpayers, you will get your money's worth. But they're doing an extraordinary job making sure that our young people will get the kind of start they deserve. And by the way, in those pre-K classrooms, it's going to be an extraordinary opportunity to help our young people who speak other languages to have the opportunity to learn. And we're going to have a strong English language learning component in that pre-K curriculum. It's going to be a great moment of transcendence. I have to do one other plug, because today is the first deadline for pre-K applications. Today, Wednesday, April 23rd, for the pre-K classrooms that are going to be available in public school buildings. First deadline today. If you have a child born in 2010, pre-K age this year, and you've not yet signed up, please sign them up today. You can call 311. They'll tell you how to do it. You can go online at the city website. You can sign up this very day, and then more and more opportunities will be provided in the coming weeks with additional pre-K classes that will be available neighborhood by neighborhood with community-based organizations. There's a lot of other things we want to do to help immigrant families. One of the ones I'm particularly passionate about is the municipal ID card, which will be available for all New Yorkers. All New Yorkers, regardless of immigration status, because every New Yorker has a right to have that identity respected formally, to sign a lease, get a bank account, to live a full life. If our federal friends, and I know Carolyn Maloney has been trying to do the right thing, but if other elements of the Congress don't see the light and address comprehensive immigration reform, then it is the responsibility of all of us locally to do what we can do. Make sure and I hope in the process we set the pace, we set the expectation, we raise the bar, and teach the federal government what it should have already known about a nation of immigrants. It's our responsibility in New York City and cities all around the country to change the environment. Sometimes change has to come from the grassroots up. Often change has to come from the grassroots up, and that's how we're pursuing it here in this city. Now we know so many immigrant small businesses have been affronted by the policies, sadly, of this city government in recent years. We're changing those policies. We want to support immigrant small business. It is the lifeblood of the community. We're going to be seeing more information, more education, less arbitrary fines, more efforts to actually help immigrant small businesses develop and thrive. We have so much more to do, as I indicated before, on language access. And I know Nisha will be an extraordinary advocate throughout the city.